Hi guys, I hope everyone is doing well. I just wanted to do a bit of a check-in. So welcome to part 4 of the Ghislaine Maxwell Deposition. Thank you so much for your comments and feedback on the videos so far. I know the sound quality hasn't been great throughout, to be honest, and certainly not on part 3, I think. But I am working on it and I'm trying to improve that. So do bear with me, and hopefully the next ones that I'm now doing will be better, hopefully. So part of that feedback was around where the Mr. P says objection, and it does go on. So what I've done is, when that is, I'm not going to mention his name, I'm not going to read the whole thing out, I'm just going to say the word objection, just so that you know that there was an objection that was inserted in there. But again, I won't say Mr. P or anything like that. I will just say objection. So yeah, hopefully I can get the sound right on these ones. I'm really hoping to get it finished, because I'm also really wanting to know what the next kind of part is, and to kind of see how this pans out. So do let me know if you've got any more feedback. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe my YouTube channel. And here is part 4.
I'm going to direct your attention. Do we have a Bates number for that? Mr. Edwards, blank. Prefer blank for that one. I will direct your attention to the first page, which has the blank on it. Okay. Now, at the top of the document, on the right-hand side, the message that reads 4JE, dates blank, message blank, and then it's signed GM. Is that your signature? That's not my handwriting. Would other people take a message? How did this process work? Is there someone else in the house with the initials GM? Objection. I cannot answer that. It's not my handwriting. I'm trying to understand how this gets there. If you took a message and didn't write it down, would someone else record that message for you? Objection. All I can tell you, this is not my handwriting, so I cannot. I have no idea what that is. Was the practice that was the practice when someone answered the phone with these message pads? What were they supposed to do? They were supposed to take a message and the time and date and give the message. Were they supposed to indicate who took the message? They were, but it wasn't. I don't really recall the actual process. I can see from here it looks like you were supposed to, but that's not my handwriting, so I can't say what that was. Do you know who blank is? No, I don't. Do you know whether blank was under the age of 18? I just testified I couldn't remember who she was, so it would be difficult to know how old she was. Do you know if she was coming to the house to provide massages? I don't remember who she is at all, so no. And then I would like to direct your attention to the message right underneath it, which says JE blank blank and has a phone number. And the message says, wants to know if she should bring her friend blank tonight. What is that message referring to? Objection. I can't possibly know. Did individuals at the house take messages for underage girls to come over and bring friends for the purpose of providing massages? Objection. How would I possibly know what you are talking about? Did you record messages at the house? It's not my job. You did from time to time record messages? Hardly ever. But you did from time to time do it. I'm just saying I hardly ever took messages, very infrequently. Do you know if blank brought her friend blank over on that night? Objection. 1, I don't know what this message is. I don't know if I was in Palm Beach. I don't know who blank is. I don't know who blank is, and I don't know what this message is referring to. So on January the 2nd of 2003, were you in Palm Beach? I don't know. Where would you have been other than Palm Beach at that time? I could have been anywhere. Where did you typically live? What are you asking me? So, for example, in 2003, Where was your primary residence? Was it wherever Jeffrey was living and staying, or was it independent of that? What was the date again? In 2003. The end of 2003? January, the beginning. I don't know. I could have been anywhere. Jeffrey and I were leading almost separate lives by then. If you were at the house that day, did you recall seeing anybody by the name of blank? Objection. I don't know if I was at the house, so I can't testify to that. Let's flip back to the next page, the one we were on before, the blank, the message towards the bottom that says, for Jeffrey, message of Ghislaine. And it says, would it be helpful to have, and then redacted, come to Palm Beach today to stay here and help train new staff with Ghislaine? Who were you referring to in that message? Do you remember? Objection. The question is, do you recall this message? I do not recall this message. Do you recall training a female under the age of 18 at Jeffrey's home? Objection. I never trained a female under the age of 18 at Jeffrey's home. Did you ever say it would be helpful to have a female under the age of 18 come to Palm Beach today to stay here and help train new staff with Ghislaine? I never asked anyone under the age of 18 come to help train new staff. I'm going to flip to the next page, which is blank. By the way, that is not my handwriting and it's not dated, and I couldn't possibly tell you who that is. Did you hear that? You've got your testimony on the record. Blank. Yes. Refer blank. I'm going to direct your attention to the top right-hand corner. Mr. Epstein, blank, message blank, a phone number and called. Do you know who blank is? I don't. Do you know that blank was 15 at the time she left this message? Objection. I don't know who blank is. And then I'm going to direct your attention to the bottom left, which is a message of blank, and the message says, he just did a good one, 18 years. She spoke to me and said I love Jeffrey. Referring to sex with an 18-year-old in that message. Objection. How could I know that? Blank is referring to. Do you know if blank had sex with an 18-year-old that is referenced to Jeffrey Epstein? Objection. How could I possibly know? Did Jeffrey Epstein or blank ever tell you that blank had sex with an 18-year-old? Objection. I have no idea what you are talking about. Did they ever tell you that? I have no recollection of ever hearing such a ridiculous thing. I will turn to the next page, which is SE 02841. Ms. Menninger, do you have the Bates number? The bottom right-hand corner, Mr. Epstein. The date, blank. Ms. Maxwell, it says, blank. It says, quote, is available on Tuesday. No one for tomorrow. Is this a message you took? It's not my handwriting, and I don't know who R is. So when it says Ms. Maxwell in the line there, is that you calling for Mr. Epstein? Objection. I didn't write it. I don't know when this message was taken. I don't even know what it's referring to, and I don't know what my name is doing on the message pad. I know you said you only took them a few times. Do you have a recollection of taking messages of females who would call the house to indicate whether or not they were coming over? Objection. Give me a date range. On the 7th of the 9th, 04. How would I know if I'm in Palm Beach? Most likely not. I'm asking if you have a recollection of taking messages for girls who would call the house. Girls. Females who would call the house. Over the age of 18. Blank is 15. I don't know who blank is, so I can't testify anything to blank. Your name is on the message. I didn't put it there and I don't know what it's doing there. So your testimony is you didn't take this message. I obviously didn't take the message. It's signed by somebody R. It's not my handwriting. We don't know if I'm in Palm Beach. Did you arrange for blank to have his friend come over on Tuesday of this week? I don't know who blank is, so it would be hard for me to arrange anything with someone I don't know. Why is your name reflected on this message pad? Objection. I have no idea. You would have to ask whoever took the message. Did you, in the course of your work, regularly take messages for Jeffrey Epstein? I already testified I hardly ever did. Would you, in the course of your work, regularly set up appointments for females to come over and give massages for Jeffrey Epstein? Objection. Can you specify females? You mean adults over the age of 18? Did you regularly set up for Jeffrey adults over the age of 18 to come for massages? I didn't regularly do that, no. Would you take messages with respect to females over the age of 18 to come over for a massage? I already testified I hardly ever did take messages. But would you? I already testified I hardly ever. I know hardly ever, but did you? Over the course of time, it is possible I may have taken a couple. I have no recollection. I hardly ever did, and I did so irregularly that it would be hard for me to pinpoint. Did you ever take a message for a female under the age of 18 to come over for a massage or for any other reason to be with Jeffrey Epstein? Action. I hardly ever took a message. I have absolutely no way of knowing. Maybe one of my friend's daughters called to say that they were coming to visit me. I have never taken messages. I don't know about how I would possibly know if somebody I spoke to 1 or 2 times I took messages, how old they would be, but I have never taken a message where I was aware of anything being under the age of 18. And I probably took it so infrequently it would be impossible. Can you turn to blank? It should be the next page. Do you see at the top, it says for Mr. J, 11th of the 8th, 04, and then the name is redacted. It says, I have a female for him. Why would a minor be calling Jeffrey to say they have a female for him? Do you know? Objection. First of all, I don't know. That's a minor. I don't know who took the message. I will represent to you these are police reports and minors' names have to be redacted for privacy purposes. Objection. Do you know why a minor child would be calling Jeffrey and leaving a message to say, quote, I have a female for him? Objection. I can't testify anything about this message. I don't know anything about it. I'm going to direct your attention to the next page, blank. If you look at the bottom left, you are going to see a message for Jeffrey from blank. It says she doesn't have a number and left a message that she called. Did you know who blank is? I do not. Do you know that blank was 13 at the time she placed this call to Jeffrey? I don't know who blank is. Would Jeffrey regularly have 13-year-olds call and leave messages? Objection. How would I possibly? These were messages taken when I was not at the house, and I have no idea who they are, nor how old they are, not anything. How do you know you weren't at the house on this day? I was hardly at the house in 2005. So you could have been there, you just don't know. In the 5 days I might have been there in 2005, I suppose it's possible, but it's unlikely. Objection. Ms. McCauley, I think it was my assumption it was a miss by the police department. I will direct your attention to blank blank, so you will skip a page and go back. It's the final page in the message pads, and you will see on the top left for Jeffrey, on the 6th of the 1st, 2005, from blank, with a phone number. It says, quote, he has a teacher for you to teach you how to speak Russian. She is 2 times 8 years old, not blonde. Lessons are free and you can have your first today if you call. Do you know whether blank sent a Russian girl that was 16 years old over to Jeffrey Epstein's home? Objection. I do not know. Did you ever observe a Russian girl that was 16 years old come to Jeffrey Epstein's home? I'm not aware of any 16-year-old Russian girl that I can recall in Jeffrey Epstein's home. Do you know whether Jeffrey Epstein had sex with a 16-year-old Russian girl? Objection. I do not know. Videographer, it's 12:25. This will be the end of disc 3. We are off the record. 121, resumed and testified. Ms. McCauley, the videographer, it's now 121. We're starting disc number 4. We are back on the record. Ms. Maxwell, before the break we were talking about, and I think it's one of the exhibits that's marked in front of you. I'm not sure of the number, but the police report that I showed you earlier today. Now that you have the knowledge of the police report and the criminal investigation with respect to Jeffrey Epstein, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein abused any minor children? Objection. Can you repeat the question, please, and break it down so it's more understandable? Now that you have the police report that I showed you this morning, that you had an opportunity to look at, you gave it to me, I did not look at it. The questions that I asked you about the police report, you are aware there is a police report. I am aware there is a police report. You're aware there was a criminal investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm aware that there was that. Now that you are aware of those two things, and having talked to Jeffrey Epstein, do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Objection. Can you re-ask the second part of that question, please? Sure. The two documents we were talking about, the document and the investigation, you said you are aware of, and after having talked to Jeffrey Epstein, do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Objection. What do you mean I talked to Jeffrey? You need to break the question down further. So you have the police report. I do. And you are aware of the criminal investigation. I am. Let's take those two things. After knowing those two things, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein abused minor children? Objection. Can you explain what you mean by the question, actually? I think the question speaks for itself. I will try again. I will say it one more time because I want you to be able to understand it. Knowing that you have the police report here and knowing about the criminal investigation, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Objection. I know what you put in front of me and I know what I read. I'm asking what you believe. Do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? I can only tell you what I read and what you showed me. I'm asking what you believe from your own belief. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein abused minors? I can only go from what I know personally, and what I know personally about what Virginia's lies talked about. She is the only person I know that actually claimed that, and I can say with certitude that everything Virginia said was a lie. You are aware Jeffrey Epstein was sentenced for sexual abuse. Are you aware of that? Objection. Are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein served time for sexual abuse of a minor? Objection. I don't believe that's what he was sentenced for, actually. So you don't know that Jeffrey Epstein served time for sexually abusing a minor? Objection. I don't believe that's what he was sentenced for. Do you know that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted for procuring a minor for prostitution? Objection. I don't know exactly what he was convicted of. I don't know that he was convicted. I know he spent time in jail. Do you know that he spent time in jail related to an issue with a minor child? Objection. I did not know that. What did you think he was spending time in jail for? I only know he went to jail for it was alleged that he had an underage prostitute. So knowing that, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Objection. I can only tell you what he went to jail for. I'm asking what you believe. I'm not asking what he went to jail for. I'm asking for your belief. I cannot testify to what I believe. I can only say that I have seen in the reports and I know he went to jail. You can testify to what you believe. Do you believe? I can only testify. Let me finish the question so the record is clear. Do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Objection. You can answer. I can only testify to what I know. I know that Virginia is a liar, and I know what she testified is a lie. So I can only testify to that, what I know to be a falsehood, and half those falsehoods are enormous. And so I can only categorically deny everything she has said, and that is the only thing I can talk about, because I have no knowledge of anything else. I'm not asking about Virginia. I'm asking whether you believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors. Again, I repeat, I can only go on what I know, and what I know is a falsehood based on what Virginia said. Do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Again, I repeat, Virginia is a liar, and based on Virginia's stories, that is what she lied, and I can only then talk about what you've showed me in the police reports, and I know he went to jail. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? I'm asking about your belief. Again, I just repeat, I can only go, my belief is Virginia is a liar. What is that belief? She is an absolute liar, and everything she said is a lie, and therefore everything that stems from that is a lie. So, do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Again, can we move on from here? No. You are going to answer the question. I have already. No, you haven't. I have. Do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Again, I repeat, the only person I know who has talked about these things that I have was personally present, was Virginia, and I can only talk to Virginia, and she is a liar. Setting aside Virginia, take her out of the picture. It's my question. We are here today because of Virginia and her lies, because this is a defamation suit. Setting aside Virginia, do you believe Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? I cannot set aside Virginia because that's why we are here, and this is the only reason I am sitting here, in this room, and I will not set her aside, and I cannot comment about anything else except her, because she is the only person I actually know about. Are you refusing to answer that question? I am not refusing the question. I can only testify about Virginia, who is an absolute total liar, and you all know she is. She lied about her age. You know she lied about absolutely everything. So I can only go on what I know as a liar, and she is a liar, an exaggerator, a fantasist, and absolutely true, terrible person. I want you to listen very carefully. I am asking you to set aside Virginia. I can't set aside Virginia. I'm asking you to do that for the purposes of this question. Mr. P, she doesn't have to. Ms. Macaulay, she can refuse to answer the question. I'm not refusing to answer the question. You are refusing. My question has nothing to do with Virginia. Let me make the record here. My question has nothing to do with Virginia. I want it to be clear for the court. My question has nothing to do with Virginia. What I'm asking you is whether you believe Jeffrey Epstein abused minors. Objection. She answered the question. A fair reading of her answer is she doesn't have a belief because she doesn't have any personal knowledge. Ms. Macaulay. Now you are testifying for the witness. Let her answer the question. Mr. P. It's a fair answer to the question. Again, I testified my only personal knowledge concerns Virginia, and everything Virginia has said is an absolute lie, which is why we are here in this room. If you are asking me to testify about things I have no knowledge of, other than the police report that you showed me, I'm not in a position to make a statement based on that, because you are asking me to speculate, and I cannot speculate. I'm asking you about your belief. I'm not asking you to speculate at all. I'm asking what you believe. You are asking me to speculate, and I won't speculate. I'm not asking you to speculate. I'm asking what you believe. Mr. P, she answered the question, and we can move on. Ms. Macaulay, she hasn't answered the question. Mr. P, we are not going to engage in this debate. She answered the question. If you want to mark it and move to compel an answer to the question, have at it. Okay. Ms. Maxwell, is it your belief that Jeffrey Epstein interacted sexually with minors? Again, you are asking me the same type of question, exactly, but with different language. Again, my only knowledge of somebody who claims these things that I have personal knowledge of is Virginia. Virginia is an absolute liar, and everything she has said is a lie. Therefore, based on those lies, I cannot speculate on what anybody else did or didn't do, because if Virginia is the example of what that story is, and everything she said is false, so everything that leads from that is false. So the 30 other minor children in the police report are also telling lies about being sexually abused during massages with Mr. Epstein. Objection. Counsel, can you show me in these police reports who the 30 minors are? Ms. Macaulay. I'm asking my question. Mr. P. You are making a representation about numbers. You are making a representation on the record about what people said or didn't say. We have no knowledge about that. These are all redacted records, so these are bad questions. They don't lead to any admissible evidence. It is only being propounded to the witness to harass her. So we are done with these questions. Ms. Macaulay, are you done? Mr. P. Yes. My question is, are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of having relations with a minor child? Mr. P. She answered that question already. Ms. Macaulay. I'm getting into my next question. Mr. P. Ask your next question. Don't keep asking the same question. Ms. Macaulay. You are now shouting. I want the record to reflect that you are interrupting the deposition. I ask you to calm down, take a deep breath, and please let me ask my questions. Your behaviour is inappropriate. I will ask you again. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein interacted sexually with minors? Again, I go back to this. My only actual knowledge is with Virginia, and Virginia is a liar. So I can only talk to what Virginia's story, and as I said before, and there are so many examples, I mean thousands of examples of her lies, that is the only thing I can talk to. Based on that, you do not believe that Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused minors? Again, as I said, I'm only talking to what I know. I can only talk to Virginia. So, is it your belief that Jeffrey Epstein did not sexually abuse minors? Again, I can only talk to what I know, and I know that Virginia is a liar, and that what she said is a lie. So I can only testify to what she accused and you guys put in the press for salacious purposes and whatever terrible, inappropriate, unethical, and terrible reasons you chose to do that about me, and I can testify those are all lies. Do you know whether Jeffrey Epstein sexually abused any minor children? Again, I only know 1,000% that Virginia is a liar. I can only talk to Virginia, her lies, and your inappropriate, unethical, really unattractive, terrible use of her, and the way that you have abused the system, used the press for purposes that are unethical, inappropriate, and appalling. Do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein used massages to lure minors to have sex with him? Again, that is Virginia's testimony, which is a lie. But do you believe that? Again, I'll refer back to Virginia. I'm asking whether you believe it or not. I can only go with what I know, and I know Virginia is a liar, and therefore that's a lie. So you don't believe that? I said I only know what Virginia is lying. Are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein is a registered sex offender? I am. Are you aware that Jeffrey Epstein paid considerable amounts of money to settle lawsuits with the minor children that he had sexual contact with? Objection. I have no knowledge of those issues. Why did you continue to maintain contact with Jeffrey Epstein after he pled guilty? I'm a very loyal person, and Jeffrey was very good to me when my father passed away. And I believe that you need to be a good friend in people's hour of need, and I felt that it was very thoughtful, nice thing for me to do to help in very limited fashion, which was helping if he had any issue with his homes in terms of the staffing issues. It was very, very minor, but I felt it was thoughtful in somebody's hour of need. Did he continue to pay you during that time period? I was paid a little. You were paid. Yes. When you say a little, what did you mean by that? I don't recall exactly the amount. So, in 2009, when you left him, what were you being paid? I just told you I don't recall. Were you being paid $100,000? I just don't, I don't recall. Were you paid over $1 million? I think I would remember over $1 million. So it was under $1 million. It was under $1 million. Was it over $500,000? I just told you it was under 500. It was an amount of money less than $500,000, less than $1 million, and I did it out of thoughtfulness and consideration for somebody who was in trouble. Did you have an attorney to consult with during the criminal investigation of Jeffrey Epstein? I don't believe I did. When did you learn that a search warrant was executed for the Palm Beach house? I don't recall exactly. Were you present at the house in advance of the search warrant being executed? Objection. I don't remember when the search warrant was executed, and I don't remember the year that the search warrant was executed and whenever that was. I already testified. I was very, very infrequently at the house. So, highly unlikely, but I was there a couple of days. I just don't know which days it was in relation to the police situation. Did you have a computer at the Palm Beach home that was a computer that you would use? No. Was there a computer available for use in the Palm Beach house? Can you be more specific? Was there anywhere in the Palm Beach house where there was a computer where you said you worked for him and there were other staff in the house? Was there ever a computer in the Palm Beach mansion that was accessible by you or other staff? Objection. I stopped being regularly at the house sometime in 2003. So from 2003 to when the police search was executed, I have no memory of what was there, or what there was not. I can only testify for what was there when I was present largely. So in 2003, when you were still there, was there a computer that was accessible to you or other staff at the house? Objection. There was a desktop computer that people could use, just like you would use if you needed to go online to get something, that people could use. Was that on a desk that you would use in your work capacity when you were at the house? It was a desk, it was a room, I didn't really use that computer. Were there images of naked girls, whether they be under the age of 18 or over the age of 18, on that computer? I have no recollection of any naked people on that computer when I was there in 2003, we are talking. What about from, say, 1999 to 2003? No, I can't recollect any naked pictures. Why were the computers removed from the house before the search warrant was executed? Objection. I have no knowledge of anything like that. Do you know where the computers are now? Objection. I don't know what computers you are talking of, and I have no idea what you are referencing. In 2003, you said there was a computer in a room on a desk. Right. Do you know where that computer is now? I do not. Did you take pictures of nude females in any of the Epstein's homes, or in and around the homes, out by the pool, or anywhere like in the Palm Beach home, the New York home, USVI home, or the New Mexico home? Objection. Can you repeat the question? Did you take pictures of nude women over 18 or under 18, females, in any of Jeffrey Epstein's homes, inside or outside, in or around the home? I think we need to distinguish between anyone under the age of 18 and over the age of 18. We will start with, did you take pictures of nude females in or around any of Jeffrey's homes of women or females that were under the age of 18? No. Did you take pictures of nude females? Nude you mean with no clothing on? Or half nude with no top on? Any sort of nakedness to an individual? In any of Jeffrey's homes, either Palm Beach, New Mexico, USVI or New York, either outside by the pool, anywhere in or around those homes of females over the age of 18. So it is possible that I took pictures of people that were somehow semi or had some clothing on or no clothes on, but at no time were any of these pictures remotely inappropriate. They were, you could see them in a mainstream magazine today. There would be no inappropriateness. They would be covered, concealed, you wouldn't see anything at all. The types of, first I took very few and they were always by request. This was a picture you could put on your gift to your parent or to your grandparents to put on their mantelpiece. It would be a very benign sort of attractive picture where you wouldn't see anything. Who would request those pictures? From time to time, people, men and women, would ask to have nice photographs of them taken. And did Jeffrey Epstein request those pictures? I don't ever recall him asking me to take pictures. Do you give him pictures of naked females as a present? I don't recall ever giving a present of, I don't know, why a photograph would constitute a gift. Not as a gift. Do you recall ever giving Jeffrey Epstein pictures that you've taken of these individuals in a naked state? Objection. First of all, we've already established that they are not naked state photographs. A piece of them being naked as you described. I said they would be attractive as you would see in mainstream magazines, and those pictures could be a picture of a hand or a foot. They didn't necessarily constitute, I know where you are headed with this, and it's nowhere appropriate and it's really unattractive. I'm not headed anywhere. I'm just asking the questions. Did you give Jeffrey Epstein any of these pictures that you took of females in the state that you described? I can't recall ever giving him pictures, but it is possible that I took pictures of people that would end up, or a friend of his that he would have, not naked or not inappropriate in any way, that he might have somewhere in his house. Name for me all the individuals who you took these pictures of. It's entirely impossible for me to name people. First of all, it would not be possible. I took thousands of photos, not of people. I mostly take pictures of landscapes and things. I have no recollection specifically of people that I took pictures of. So you can't remember. Is it your testimony you can't remember one person that you took a picture of in either a naked or semi-naked state? I seriously cannot recall. I just don't recall. Did you take a picture of Virginia Roberts either alone or with another individual in a naked state? I have never taken, I believe, any pictures of two people in any type of situation, naked as you describe. Did you take a picture of Virginia Roberts on her own without another individual in it in a naked state? I don't recall ever taking a picture of Virginia naked. We are not referring to someone with clothing on at all. We are referring to someone that could be semi-clad or could have a towel, or we are not referring to anything inappropriate. Was this a hobby of yours to take pictures of the type that you are describing? Objection. I just testified. I didn't take pictures of many people. My preference is pictures for landscapes and for architectural pieces. Where are those pictures today? I have no idea. Do you have them in your home? I do not. Do you have them on your computer? I do not. What has Jeffrey Epstein told you about the allegations related to the criminal investigation that he was involved in? I really can't say, not because I don't want to say, but I just think of what he's said to me over the course of this time. Did he explain it to you and explain what the charges were against him? I never had a detailed conversation with him, as I recall. Not detailed, just did he explain anything that was happening to him? I haven't spoken to him for so long. I can't possibly testify to what conversations I had with him over the course of time. Did he talk to you about any of the girls that were making allegations against him other than Virginia? Objection. You were talking about the police records again, all of that. Yes. I have never had a conversation about those things. What has Jeffrey Epstein told you about Virginia Roberts? That she is a liar? What does he base that on? Objection. You would have to check with him. I can tell you why I think she is a liar. I'm happy to do that. Did he tell you he did not have sexual relations with Virginia Roberts? I can only testify what I know. I'm asking, has he told you that he did not have sexual relations with Virginia Roberts? I can only tell you what I know about Virginia Roberts. I cannot tell you what he knows about Virginia Roberts. I'm asking, did he tell you that he did not have sexual relations with Virginia Roberts? All he told me is she is a liar. That's all he said about Virginia Roberts. We went through all the lies that you have sold to the papers and sold in general, and we have analysed her lies and your inappropriate behaviour in detail. Did he ever say that he did not have sexual relations with Virginia Roberts? I just testified that we went through all of her lies. I understand what you said. I'm asking you a question. Did he ever tell you that he never had sex with Virginia Roberts? I don't recall whether I don't know, I ever had that question. We focused on the lies she did say she had with him as relates to me. I don't remember asking him about his problems with her. I'm interested in what she says about myself. Did you also talk about what things that Virginia Roberts was saying that were true? There isn't anything that she said that was true. Nothing she said that you are aware of is true. I think she is correct when she talks about what her name is. Anything else? I'm sure there must be one or two other details, but they are so far and few between. I would have to look in detail at all of her allegations to pinpoint what possibly could be true. Did you ever ask Jeffrey if he had sex with minors? I have never been asked that question. You never asked him that question. What analysis did Jeffrey do to determine that the statements Virginia Roberts were making were lies? Objection. Ask me again, please. What analysis did Jeffrey do to determine that the statements that Virginia Roberts were making were lies? Objection. And to the extent that any of this answer calls for any privileged communication, I'm instructing, with myself or another lawyer representing you, or in any common interest agreement, I'm instructing you not to answer. Ms. Macaulay. The court ruled she is entitled and had to produce documents about communications with Jeffrey. That's what I'm asking about. I'm not asking about communications with lawyers. I'm asking what analysis did Jeffrey do to determine that the statements that Virginia Roberts was making were lies, if you know. Mr. P, my objection is to the extent she learned any of that information as a result of either a privileged communication from a lawyer, one of her lawyers, or a are privileged communications subject to a joint defence agreement or common interest agreement, I'm telling her not to answer. To the extent she has information outside of those things, she is permitted to answer. Do you understand? So, if it was a conversation with a lawyer, which I'm not asking about, I don't want you to tell me about your conversations with lawyers. I want you to tell me whether Jeffrey Epstein ever told you what he analysed in order to determine which of what Virginia was saying were lies. I do not know what he did, no. So you agree she is lying, Singrid? I do not agree with that, and I'm asking the questions. You just said her lies. I'm repeating a statement you made. Are you saying it's an obvious lie that Jeffrey Epstein engaged in sexual conduct with Virginia while Virginia was underage? I can only testify to what I saw and what I was present for. So, if you are asking me what I saw, then I am happy to testify. I cannot testify to what somebody else did or didn't do. Did you issue a statement blank blank in 2015 stating that Virginia Roberts' claim were, quote, obvious lies? Objection. You can answer. You need to re-ask me the question. Sure. Did you issue a press statement blank in January of 2015 stating that Virginia Roberts' claims were, quote, obvious lies? Objection. Can you ask it a different way, please? I will ask it again, and you can listen carefully. Did you issue a press statement blank in January of 2015 where you stated that Virginia Roberts' claims were, quote, obvious lies? Objection. So my lawyer blank instructed blank to issue a statement. Today, did you say that Virginia lied about, quote, absolutely everything? I said that there are some things she may not have lied about. So, are you saying it's an obvious lie that Jeffrey Epstein engaged in sexual contact with Virginia while Virginia was underage? Objection. Can you ask the question again, please? Are you saying it's an obvious lie that Jeffrey Epstein engaged in sexual conduct with Virginia while Virginia was underage? Objection. You can answer. Try again, please. Are you saying that it's an obvious lie that Jeffrey Epstein engaged in sexual conduct with Virginia while Virginia was underage? Objection. Again, I'm telling you. First of all, it was a statement that was issued by my lawyer and, through my lawyer blank, I understand that. I'm asking you, are you saying that it's an obvious lie that Jeffrey Epstein engaged in sexual conduct with Virginia while Virginia was underage? Is that a lie? Objection. You can answer. So I cannot testify to what blank, blank and blank decided to put. I can testify to what Virginia's obvious lies are as regards to me. I cannot make representations about all the many lies she may or may not have told about Jeffrey. So is Virginia lying when she says, is it obvious when she says that she had sex with Jeffrey Epstein while she was underage? Objection. Again, I'm testifying to what I know to be true. I can only testify to all the many lies she told about me. I cannot testify to what lies she told about somebody else. Given she told so many about me, one can probably infer she is lying about everything. So you think she is lying when she said she had sex with Jeffrey Epstein when she was underage? Objection. Again, I can only talk about what I can positively say myself, not what somebody else is going to represent. When you were saying that her claims of having sex with Jeffrey Epstein were obvious lies, are you saying she is lying about engaging in sexual conduct with Jeffrey Epstein when she was underage? Objection. You can answer. Again, this was a statement that was put out from my lawyer blank. blank, and I can only testify to the obvious lies that she says about me. I cannot make representations about lies she says about someone else. But she lies so many times about me. One can probably infer she is lying about everything. So is she not lying is she telling the truth when she says she had sex with Jeffrey Epstein when she was underage? Objection. Again, I don't know how else to tell you. I can only talk about what I know to be true. What I know is her story about how she claims that initial situation happened is so egregiously false and such a giant, fat, enormous, repulsive, disgusting, inappropriate, vile lie that I can testify to. Was she lying when she said she met you at Mar-a-Lago? Again, I already testified I don't recall meeting her at Mar-a-Lago. We showed you a document where you said you met her at Mar-a-Lago when she was 17, is that correct? Objection. I think I already testified to that. What I remembered based on all the rubbish she has written and all the many articles I have read, maybe in the moment when I wrote that, have caused me to have that, but on reflection I don't recall it as I sit here today. Are you saying that it was an obvious lie that you approached Virginia while she was underage at Mar-a-Lago? Objection. First of all, we can all agree here, all of you sitting here, that the lies that you perpetrated in the press, that she was 15, and we should all agree now that that is a fake, a lie that was perpetrated between all of you to make the story more exciting. Can we agree on that? That is not my question. Can we agree she was not the age she said and you put that in the press? That is obviously, manifestly, absolutely, totally a lie. Miss Macaulay, I'm going to put on the record Miss Maxwell very inappropriately and very harshly pounded our law firm table in an inappropriate manner. I ask she takes a deep breath and calm down. I know this is a difficult position, but physical assault or threats is not appropriate. So no pounding, no stomping, no, that's not appropriate.